Hello, this is Xbox Ahoy, and this is the bonus footage from my time with the DSR 50. So that's another sniper rifle done, and it's also DLC week, which is also very, very exciting. The emblem this week, in case I think most people recognised it, it's the Steam emblem. Pretty obvious one. I chose it principally because of the cognitive dissonance that people would get from seeing such a PC-oriented logo on a channel called Xbox Ahoy. Oh my word, I think I might have blown some people's minds. But anyway, more on that later. I suppose I'll get on with the questions. First up, we have Frederick's Son saying, Stu, the series of Modern Warfare has ended, and it wouldn't be proper for Treyarch to release a new COD after only a year. And I know the franchise will be milked for everything it can be, but can you entertain the idea that Black Ops 2 will be the last COD on the Xbox 360? Oh my, no, we're going to see another Call of Duty on the Xbox 360. I think we can be confident of that. November 2013 is going to bring a new title. It's going to be, what is it going to be? Infinity Ward, Sledgehammer, Raven are going to do another title. This match it's so predictable now that this is beyond the realm of speculation. It's inevitability. The real question is, of course, when are the next consoles going to arrive? I have a feeling that they are on the cusp of an announcement, and it's likely to be 2014 sometime, maybe sort of Easter 2014. It could be later, it could be Christmas, it could be 2015. But no, the Xbox 360 is definitely looking a bit long in the tooth, seeing as it's now, 7 years old? I'm pretty sure that's older than some of my viewers. So let's say it comes out mid-2014, then the November 2014 title, that will be probably Black Ops 3. So that could be interesting. The first Call of Duty game on the next gen will be a Treyarch title, which means they are probably working on that right now. But I actually suspect they'll release it for the Xbox 360 as well, so we might see a port of that game. I mean, if they can release Call of Duty for the Wii, then they can release it for, the Xbox 360 and the next Xbox as well. Interesting times. This transition to a new generation could open the doors for competition. But I think next November we're going to see a fairly predictable title. Rustam Ablayev says, Hey Stu, are you going to do a weapon guide on the Peacekeeper? Yes, I'm going to do it fairly soon. I thought about doing it for Sunday, but I don't know. I'm still a little bit ill, and I don't want to rush it, really, so I think I might just go for the next Friday slot with that one. So that means the S12 will be the next weapon guide as scheduled, coming up on Friday, and then the Friday after that, on the 8th of February, we'll do the Peacekeeper. I don't really see a huge need to rush it. I mean, there's no shortage of Peacekeeper videos out there on YouTube, and it's never my ambition to be the first to do something, only the best. For future DLC weapons, I'll probably adopt a similar tactic. I'll slot them in the next Friday. The Tuesday releases, they're always a little bit awkward for doing a Friday video, seeing as a typical weapon guide is at least 4 days' work. So that kind of makes the Friday deadline impossible. But like I say, I'll take it one weapon at a time. We've got plenty of time before November hits and the next Call of Duty comes out, so I'll be fine. Riot Nation 5 HD says, What languages are you fluent in or have studied? Surprisingly few. I'm only really fluent in English. I wouldn't describe myself as fluent in any other language, with the possible exception of a couple of programming languages. I have a functional understanding with quite a few European languages. I could get by in Spain, France, Germany. That's probably about it. But I do have a fairly sort of solid understanding of European vocabulary and Latin, stuff like that, and Greek. I have a couple of other useful skills. I can read Cyrillic, I can read Greek. And I've got a bit of vocab in both of those languages. But, like I say, I couldn't hold a conversation. I'm pretty good with gun names, believe it or not. I know my automats, my Vintovkas, put it that way. Toxic Boy 2459-8 says, Why is the WA2000 the related video instead of something like the L96A1? Principally because it's the most similar in terms of configuration, given that they're both German for a start, and they're both bullpup weapons. You know, they're of a fairly similar configuration too. Now, yeah, the DSR 50 is a 50 cal rifle. The only other matching one's the Barrett 50 cal from MW2, which is neither bullpup German nor a bolt action. In terms of bolt-action rifles, I don't think there are any bullpup ones. There are no German bolt-action rifles, so there wasn't really a perfect match. So, well, I just picked one that was kind of in some way relevant. It's best not to overthink these things. Wesley Barnes asks, how did you get that Nuketown call sign? That one, I believe, is unique to the Prestige Edition, I think. Not sure if it comes with the Hardened Edition. If it is the Prestige Edition, I should probably use it more often, as it will be quite a rare one. A Sharky3 says, I was wondering, in your videos when you're using C4, are you unaware that you can detonate a little faster by double-tapping reload? I'm not unaware, I know how to double-tap X. Anybody who's watched the MW2 guides will know that A, I liked the C4 an awful lot, and B, well yeah, I detonated by double-tapping X. And every single time that I do that, I see a comment in the comment section saying, how do you explode your C4 without bringing out the detonator? Every single time. Ugh, one of those comments I get sick of. So that's probably reason enough not to double-tap X. But further than that, well, fast hands kind of negates the time penalty to a certain degree. And bearing in mind that when you double-tap X, you automatically start a reload, which can be quite annoying given that sleight of hand isn't present and fast mags isn't quite as fast. And also, the key reason is that the detonator makes everything look a little bit cooler. So there is that as well to consider. That and the fact my finger's already on the right bumper, so pressing it again, not such of a big deal. All in, I think the advantages of double-tapping X are less than they have been in previous games. The Pizza 711 says, favourite Canadian beer, if you have had any. I have had one. I've had a Moosehead Pale Ale. And, well, by virtue of being the only Canadian beer that I've tried, it wins my favourite Canadian beer award. It was pretty good. Very, very, very quaffable. Could probably have a few of those. Max Marlowe says, what is the worst Call of Duty you have ever played, Stu? I think that prize would probably have to go to Call of Duty 3. Sorry, Treyarch. But look, it was rushed. We all know it was rushed. You had to build an engine from scratch in a very short space of time. You developed it in what? It was about a year. And it did have some fun moments. You know, there was some merit to the game. I played it all the way through and I enjoyed it. I quite liked some of the achievements. But it just, I mean, it wasn't quite as Call of Duty as the rest of the Call of Duties. There's a few, I think there's a few titles I haven't played. I don't think I played Big Red 1. But I've played all of the games in the main progression. Played COD 1 on PC. COD 2 I actually played on Xbox sometime after its release. COD 3 around about the same time. COD 4 played on release on Xbox, of course. And then since then, without fail every single year. Desperately chasing that COD 4 feeling, you know how it is. Ali Al-Rashid says, Stu, have you ever played Dune or Dune 2000? Or ever Emperor Battle for Dune? And if you did play one of them, what is your favourite house? I have played Dune 2 an awful lot, and I have played Dune 2000, although not to the same degree as Dune 2. Dune 2 was in many ways kind of the original top-down RTS. It kind of set the scene for many games like it. Absolutely awesome game, and I do hope one day to do a Retro Ahoy or something similar on it. As far as my favourite house, has to be Harkonnen. Rocket tanks, baby. Banana and Jaeger says, Stu, proportion or majority election? I prefer proportional representation. It's not as glamorous, you know, as plurality-based votes. It's not like first past the post. You don't have a definitive winner, but I prefer it. It's fairer. And anything to erode the power of a two-party system is good in my book. Chupa Kazul says, Stu, you said that you used to be a PC gamer. What made you abandon it in favour of the Xbox? I didn't say I was a PC gamer, I said I am a PC gamer. I said I used to be exclusively a PC gamer. I've just augmented my gaming chops with the Xbox. So I haven't abandoned the PC. I mean, sure, look, I might not play a game on PC every week, but I mean, certainly recently I've been playing a lot of Euro Truck Simulator 2. I mean, like, seriously, I've got 40 hours racked up in that now. So yeah, I play on whatever platform has the games, really. I like my Xbox. I have a certain attachment to my gamer score, and I like the way Microsoft have handled the whole sort of identity on Xbox Live. And, you know, when it comes to playing Call of Duty, most of my friends have Xboxes, so if I want to play with friends, then I think I know one person who has got, maybe two people who've got Black Ops 2 on the PC. So for the social aspect, it makes sense to go with where your friends are. Anyway, I'm not an Xbox gamer, I'm not a PC gamer. I'm a gamer. I play games. It doesn't matter what I play them on. The Master of the Fist says, are you a summer or winter person? Of those two, probably winter, although, well, we're forgetting, spring and autumn, aren't we? Or fall, for my American brethren. Overall, if we're talking all 4 seasons, I'm probably more of an early spring sort of guy. I like, March, April. When the sun's out but it's still cold, I like that. Bracing weather. Salim300 quotes me in saying, one general rule of thumb to follow for weapons with a slower rate of fire is to ensure maximum lethality per shot. Those were your exact words. I presumed you recommend FMJ. What happened to that Xbox Ahoy? Hey, I like FMJ on the DSR 50. I actually used it quite a lot. It would be probably my 3rd attachment recommendation. But again, the thing is, if I recommended FMJ, there'll be a whole bunch of smart Alex in the comments saying, oh, you don't need FMJ, you're not going to be shooting people through walls. I don't know, FMJ is one of those attachments it's regarded as less useful. And to a certain extent, yeah, it maybe isn't as useful as some stuff, but I think it's more useful than most people realise. I really like it. I actually use it a fair amount when I have a spare attachment slot. I suppose with this particular build, if you can't see the enemy, they're probably not going to be a threat to you. So if you're going for wall bangs, collaterals, then yeah, FMJ is probably a pretty good choice. It's a good choice for getting clips. But for long range, long streak sniping, it's maybe, I don't know, maybe not 100% essential. Balisong Gamer says, I've noticed you run the stock killstreak setup fairly often. Is this because you've recently prestiged in these clips, or do you just happen to like these stock killstreaks? Definitely the former. I always forget that your score streaks get reset when you prestige. It's a nightmare. And then I get a Dragonfire and I think, Dragonfire? I didn't have... prestiged. And then I get like 2 kills or something and I think, well, I'd be much better off with something else. But yeah, I mean, kill streaks, score streaks, they're not really a major part of any of my strategies. I just go for UAVs. There's not really any huge degree of synergy between any particular weapon and the score streaks on offer. I mean, some weapons are more dependent on radar knowledge and positioning, some of those weapons you do want to go with the UAVs. But for the lethal kill streaks, I mean, there isn't really any synergy. They tend to be unto themselves. I mean, if you get like a stealth chopper, it doesn't matter what gun you're running, the stealth chopper is just going to do its thing. So yeah, normally what I tend to run is just UAV, counter UAV, and VSAT, because these all lend themselves best to the clips. If you know where people are, and they don't know where you are, you're going to get better clips on average. So I look forward to the time when I hit Prestige Master, and I don't have to, I don't have them reset all of the time. Goth Doskoi says, good pun this week. Why is there no clips on Nuketown, Stu? For the simple reason that Nuketown is in its own playlist, and if you don't want to play it, you don't have to play it. Utter bliss to me. Nuketown is a horrible map, I hate it. I hate Hijacked as well, but that's a separate issue. I like my map's Tricorn. Firing Range was a brilliant map and I really hope they bring it back. I love the 3 corners. If you're in one corner, they're either spawning to the left in front of you or the right in front of you. On Hijacked, they're either spawning in front of you, or if you push too far forward, they're coming from behind. Same deal with Nuketown, and there's no strategy. There's just run, shoot a few guys, get shot in the back. Rinse, repeat. I like small maps, but I like small maps with a modicum of strategy. Nuketown is naught but a dearth of tactics. Enrique Don Muerto says, Stu, Bungie or 343? Now, of course, you know the answer to this question. I'm going to preface it by saying 343 are a solid studio. They've done a good job with Halo 4, but how could I pick anyone but Bungie? As far as Halo's concerned, they are the innovators. They kicked off the whole thing, and they are a development company with a huge degree of charm. I'm also a big fan of the Marathon series of games. I played those originally on the Macintosh, and I'm looking forward to Destiny, whatever that might turn out to be. Vanilla Rice 4848 says, have you ever considered moving away from Manchester? I've certainly considered it, yes. Given that I do have kind of pretty much absolute freedom when it comes to, where I live, because on account of YouTube, the fact that I can, anywhere there's an internet connection, I can do my job. Yeah, I've thought about it. Also, one of the benefits of being an EU citizen is that I can live pretty much anywhere where I like in the EU. So I don't know, I've been considering the places that might be a little bit less expensive to live than the UK. The only trouble is, well, the girlfriend is rather tied down. She has family here, she has a job here, friends as well, and I don't think she'd be so happy to move away. So it's pretty likely we'll stay in the northwest of England, I think. It's a possibility we might move somewhere in the Peak District, somewhere a bit out of the city. A bit more quiet, a bit more space. But I think I need to wait for my financial situation to stabilise over the next few years before I can start to make any plans with regards to, purchasing a new house or whatever. DestructoWad says, a question regarding brews. While watching many of your bonus videos, I have heard in almost all of them about many brews that seem like they taste great. However, I am at a dilemma because as much as I would eventually like to try at least some of these brews, I don't want to risk getting addicted to the alcohol. Would you happen to know of non-alcohol drinks that have similar taste to the brews you've mentioned in the past? Non-alcoholic beer, eh? They do exist. They're not generally held in a high regard, but some are better than others. If you want to find a decent beer that doesn't really have any alcohol to speak of, you probably want to look to the German brands. The Germans drink a lot of beer. It's an important part of German culture. And almost all of the major German brands, I think, do offer an alcohol-free version. These typically weigh in at about 0.5%. They're not completely devoid of alcohol. But then, I don't think most non-alcoholic beers are actually absolute zero. There's normally a legal limit, and it's normally about 0.5% that they can be up to. I couldn't recommend a specific alcohol-free beer. I don't generally drink alcohol-free beer. Yeah, if I fancy a beer, I'll have one of the regular ones. They're easier to find and, well, I hate to say, but they generally taste better. Beer is a fermented drink. To take away the alcohol is to take away a fundamental part of it. But of all the offerings, the Germans do the best alcohol-free beers, and some of them aren't too bad. As a second point, going on to the comments about becoming addicted to alcohol, I don't know, alcohol addiction does exist, it is a problem, but I think most people can enjoy alcohol without becoming addicted to it. Some people are more susceptible to it than others. I don't know, there may be a genetic component. But as long as you maintain an awareness of what you're drinking and have a certain degree of responsibility, I think it's pretty hard to slip into alcoholism without some sort of stimulus or habitual element to it. Like drinking a couple of beers a week, not such a big deal. But if you start to habitually have one every night, and then that turns into 2 a night, 3 a night, so on and so forth, then you can sort of slide into it. I know I talk about beer an awful lot, but personally my consumption is actually pretty light. In my case, it's a question of quality and not quantity. I very rarely drink more than 2 beers in a single session, and I tend not to drink more often than maybe once, twice, 3 times a week at most. And each of those sessions might just be a single beer before bed. Like I say, it varies from person to person, but I think most people can probably be absolutely fine with a moderate degree of alcohol consumption. And I think if you're drinking for the taste, you're probably in the clear. If you're drinking to get drunk, then that's a different matter altogether. Anyway, I'm not here to, tell people to drink or not to drink. I don't really mind either way. Abstinence is cool by me. Q Rock and Roll Freak 13 says, since the old Infinity Ward guys left to work on their own, do you think their first game will be a success? So we're talking about Respawn Entertainment, kind of a splinter cell of the original core members of Infinity Ward. These are the same guys that originally splintered away from EA whilst working on Medal of Honor to create Call of Duty. They got picked up by Activision, and then Call of Duty was a massive hit, and then history repeats itself, and then there's another split away from Activision, this time back towards EA. So yeah, I think there is definitely some key talent at Respawn. There are definitely some key people that have joined forces here, and there is the potential for a COD killer. You can rest assured people in the industry are watching these guys very, very closely. But so far they have been rather tight-lipped about what they're up to. Understandably, you don't want to launch or announce too early. So it's likely that their new game will correspond with the new generation consoles. That would be the best time to strike, I think. That's when all the step changes are going to be. The technology is going to be new, there's going to be new hardware, there's going to be less reliance on established engines, which is one of Call of Duty's principal strengths at the minute. The Quake-derived iDub engine is a very established means of getting 60 frames per second fast-paced action to the player. It works well, and it seems like everybody having a crack at being a COD killer has to run at 30 frames a second to make it look as nice. There's a few technical reasons for this. The principal one is the fact that COD is upscaled from something like 500p, something quite low res actually. But, you know, that frame rate is all that matters. But when the new hardware comes, 60 frames per second will be all of a sudden attainable for everybody. So this could be a bit of a game changer, and then you've got Respawn on the offensive. We'll see. There are no guarantees of success for Respawn. I'm sure they're aware of this, but they'll be wanting to give themselves the best shot, which means launch with a new console, come out with a strong concept, keep tight-lipped until the time is right. Exciting times is what it is. I'm looking forward to the next generation. I really am. Well, that's about all the footage, so I'll wrap it up here. As I mentioned, I'll be doing the S12 video on Friday, and I'll be doing the Peacekeeper SMG, the DLC weapon, the week after that. That means we're nearly done with the default unlocked weapons. Just the TAC-45, the FHJ-18AA, and the combat knife. After which we'll start to ratchet up the rank unlocks. The first one's the SWAT 556 unlocked at level 10. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I shall see you on Friday, and until then, farewell.